What we've just discovered over the past 24 hours is quite phenomenal. So, a man who goes by the name of Tim Phillips, a former director for AARO, right, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, who works for the DoD and the Pentagon, right, did an interview during the, on the Event Horizon channel, and basically spoke about a document from the 1940s which was described as part of a DoD operations manual from the which potentially is related to the recovery of alien craft or extraterrestrial entities. This is quite I'm not going to use the term bombshell, but this is quite a big deal. Okay, I know how people feel about the term bombshell, but the former acting director of AARO, Tim Phillips, was actually interviewed by John Michael Godier on the Event Horizon channel, like we've discussed, right? And the interview was well over 2 hours long, so I'm not going to cover all of it, but it did cover various UFO-related topics, including discussion about this document resembling the Majestic 12 Special Operations Manual. Now, Phillips referenced a classified bound operations manual within the interview from the 1940s, discovered by AARO, designed for the Department of Defense to handle UFO incidents, such as downed craft or extraterrestrial encounters. And the manual was described as a tan-covered, professionally written document with period-correct font, paper, and security protocols, but its authenticity could not be verified. So obviously that's a big kind of thing that we need to talk about and bear in mind here, is the fact that the authenticity, while it seems authentic and it has been discovered by AARO, its authenticity has not yet been confirmed. Now, the manual that Phillips described is dated back to the 1940s, which conflicts with the publicly known Majestic 12 document dated April 1954, or even possibly 1953. Now, Phillips did not recall the Magic Eyes Only letterhead associated with the Majestic 12 document, suggesting it might be a different version of said manual. Now, the manual allegedly includes a section on media control advocating for official denial, discrediting witnesses, and issuing deceptive statements, for example, attributing incidents to meteors, satellites, or even weather balloons to protect the secrecy of UFO incidents. Now, Phillips also went on to note that AARO couldn't find a current contingency plan for alien contact, but discovered this 1940s manual. And they worked with archivists to verify its legitimacy, but found no conclusive proof that it was real, though Phillips personally believed that it was authentic based on its professional quality. Now, it's interesting that we see and hear about the things mentioned within this manual about, discrediting witnesses and, media cover-ups and all the rest of it, and initial denials, which is exactly what we see whenever there is any kind of encounter with UAPs or anything of the like. Now, obviously, key questions do remain on this topic, and about the manual's discovery, classification status, why it hasn't been released publicly yet, and people are being encouraged to use the Freedom of Information Act to uncover more details. Obviously, that's what we've seen with the most recent UAP evidence that came out via Jeremy Corbell, and that's the way that people seem to want to go about it. Now, obviously, there's a lot of speculation surrounding this, but to kind of get into the nitty-gritty, this is a little bit about what Tim Phillips actually had to say regarding this document.
We did find a operations plan for contact with alien beings. When I became acting, I got cornered by a staff director, and he wanted me to come back and brief DoD's plans for contact with an alien being or alien material. And said, DoD, it's the one thing you do is plan, and I'm sure that you have some CONOPS or operational order somewhere. Come back, and I want you to, brief us on what the plan is. And it seemed very, very reasonable to me. As you know, I didn't come from the UAP world, so I came back to the staff and informed them of the request, and they started looking with the cooperation of the Joint Staff, trying to say, what do we have in a way of a contingency plan or an operation order on how to deal with that first contact with alien material or an alien being, we were astonished that we couldn't find a current plan. Now, we did find a very, very well written, period correct, as far as the style, the font, the paper, a plan going back to the 1940s that was designed for the Department of Defense to respond to a UFO incident. However, when we worked with the archivist, we were trying to determine, was this a real plan? And we never could find proof it was. It was a bound book with a tan cover. It was classified. It was controlled. Um, in the security controls that were on the book, disclosure, who had access, they were all period correct. Those were the procedures used in place in the mid and late 40s.
I mean, you heard it from the guy himself. Now, obviously, like I say, everything that was mentioned there is not like absolutely set in stone and confirmed at the time of me recording this. I should imagine that, the UAP community will delve deeper into this, but the way that the book is described, the manual is described, it is very similar to that of the Majestic 12 and stuff like that, right? Now, obviously, within it, we've seen or heard that there was the official denial, so the denying existence of UAP-related incidents, discrediting witnesses, and deceptive statements. Now, there are some date and discrepancies within the interview. So Phillips stated that the manual is dated back to the 1940s, which introduces a discrepancy with the public known Majestic 12 Group Special Operations Manual, or the SOM1-01, which was dated to April of 1954, of course, like we mentioned earlier. Now, that manual is widely circulated online and is labelled a top secret magic eyes only document, and is titled Extraterrestrial Entities and Technology Recovery and Disposal. And it contains diagrams and specific instructions for handling extraterrestrial craft and entities, which Phillips' manual reportedly lacked. Alright, so, and there's also some speculation that the manual Phillips referenced could be an earlier version of the SOM1-01 or a distinct document, as he did not recall the Magic Eyes only letterhead when was asked about it. Now, obviously, there are unanswered questions like, where was the manual actually found? When was it classified and by whom? And has it actually been declassified? And if so, by whom? Why hasn't it been publicly released? And will images or scans of the physical copy be made available? And if deemed inauthentic, what criteria are used to actually assess it? So these are some key questions that have not been answered about the authenticity of this document, and I think, need to be asked, because ultimately, it's just another book. Otherwise, if it's it could just be all smoke and mirrors, which is something that we've come to know and love within the UAP community. But what do you guys think about this? Is this an authentic book? Is this, the way that they handle things is very much in keeping of the way that we know things to go, discrediting witnesses, deny, die with the lie kind of vibe, and to just kind of create this media circle to avoid any public attention towards anything. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.